Hi, I'd like to introduce Terry Needham, who is referred to as the avid traveler from Novacks. Terry, how are you doing?
Doing well. Glad to be
Great.
here.
Thank you for joining us. I think this is a topic that we all love and is near and dear to our hearts, is travel. Maybe you could tell us a bit about traveling, Novacks, and how somebody gets started. They have an idea in their head where they want to go, and they come into your store.
Sure. Everybody likes to talk about travel. Everybody's got some ideas about travel, and they come into the store, and we get many questions. But there seems to be two groups. Gee, you know, we want to do a big trip next year. It's our 25th anniversary, or I've got 12 days and I want to see the whole world. Where do I start? And that is so common. People always bite off more than they can chew. So what I try and do is, if you're traveling on your own, the easiest way to do is just decide where you want to go, how much time you've got, how much money you've got, how are you going to make that spread around. And, but if there's two of you, a couple, even if it's friends, I'm going to sound like a teacher for a minute here, which I'm not.
No.
But if you sit down and make a list on your own, where do I want to go? What do I want to see when I get there? And what kind of place do I want to stay at? And then your partner, your friend, or whatever, your wife or husband or whatever it is, does the same thing on their own, and then come together and put the pieces of paper together and see if they match. And then you can sort of negotiate, so to speak, and you find out, gee, you know, we both want to go to Italy. How convenient, I brought some Italy stuff.
Wow.
But, you know, you've got to find that out.
Yeah.
Because if you want to go golfing all day, and I want to go to the museums all day, heaven forbid, you know, we're never going to get along. We're both going to be unhappy, and you're going to have a crummy holiday.
Okay, so
it's not worth it.
Now that you've decided it, and the husband's going golfing, or vice versa, and the wife's going to museums, now you've narrowed it down. Travel separately.
Well,
yeah, I think that's a great.
Yeah.
Probably less fights. So now you're going to narrow it down. So you've picked Italy by chance. Maybe you can talk about some of these books or maps, and I think you mentioned earlier that, you know, Italy might look small on a map, but it's probably a lot of places to see of interest, and trying to fit it into that time frame that may be restricted.
A lot of people do Italy, and we've got 2 weeks or 10 days, and they go on the tour, and it's a bus full of 55 of your new friends, and you have 2 minutes to take a picture here, and you're up at 7, and you have to have your thing by 7:15. Mistake. You can't do Italy in 2 weeks. You need years.
Right.
So what we recommend is, let's look at your list. What do you want to do? Gee, we want to see the famous things. We want to go to Rome. What do you want to see in Rome? Oh, you got to see the Colosseum. We want to see the Vatican, even though we're not Roman Catholic, but you got to see the Vatican, and we want to see that. Oh, we should see Florence. Okay, so we want to see Florence, and then where else do we want to go? Oh, well, it looks like that we both want to go to Venice. Bang, that's enough. 3 places, 2 weeks. That's, you know, you could spend 3 weeks in Rome.
Okay, so they walk in your store, and they say, take me to your bookstore.
Right.
Which is I know you're the leader, so they're going to take you, you're the leader, so you'll take them to the bookstore. What kind of options do they have at the bookstore? How many books do you have, for example,
well, we probably
on
have
travel?
7,500 titles.
Wow.
Which we're the largest, we have the largest collection of bookstores in Southern Ontario. So you can be comfortable that we will have it. We don't carry every book on every place, but we carry every place. And you need to know what book works for you. And I start with a map, actually.
Okay.
So I have a map of Italy, and I open up my map of Italy with the people, and they're usually, you'll find that a map of Italy, small little place, but you know, the map of Italy, I'll just hold this up for a second. It's on 2 sides.
So it's not a small place.
No. So it takes you about, a couple of months to see that part. And then it takes you even more to see that part. Oh, gee, there's Austria. And look how close that is. Maybe we should go to Austria in our 2 weeks.
So can they sit down with you, Terry, and you can sort of lay out a bit of an itinerary for them? I know you're not a travel agent.
I'm not a travel
but
agent.
I don't
consult, but I'm not an agent.
I don't think a lot of people have, you know, I would have gone to Chapters, or I would have gone somewhere else to look at books, but you've got such a huge library of them. So coming to you, you could help them with an at least an idea.
Sure. And when I find out what you want, and what we can do is we can go here and say, okay, here's where you want to go. You want to go to Rome. You want to go to Florence. You want to go to. You can do that. Do you want to drive, or do you want to take trains? Who wants to drive in Rome? Nobody in their right mind. Nobody wants to drive in in Florence in
Right.
their right mind.
Right.
Unless you like car accidents and people yelling at you and honking horns, they drive really quickly, and you know it's
You go to
just,
Toronto
it's
for
a
that.
nightmare. Oh, it's worse than Toronto, believe it or not. Worse than Toronto and Russia. Well, they don't go very fast in Russia or Toronto. And so what you do is I always start them with what I call my drool book. I'm a visual person. I'm a photographer, and so I want to see everything. If I'm a little nervous, I hope you're nervous when you go away.
Absolutely.
Or because I haven't been here before, and you see so much more. Women are really good at that because they always know who's behind them. So safety conscious wise, women are much smarter, and they always know who's around them. We'll just wander around, who cares? But what I always start out with a visual book.
Okay.
And my personal favorite, and this may not be everybody's, are the DK or eyewitness guides. And you almost don't have to go, because the doggone things are so good. So here's the Vatican. I stuck a piece of paper so I could find the Vatican.
Right.
And I don't know if you can see this.
Right.
Which can is this one over here? Here, it's got the Vatican all laid out, so you can see what you're going to see. Gee, look at the size of this thing. It's huge. You won't believe how big it is when you get there. You can climb up to the top of the dome and see forever and
Right.
all of that. The things lay out the town, how the Vatican's laid out. It'll give you street maps. Here's a street map. It shows you all the buildings and where they are. So when you get there, if you're carrying your little iPod or whatever it is that you got your picture
Right.
on, it doesn't work. This works.
Okay.
That's how you start.
Okay.
If you need more information than that and you're a reader, then you get into the books like these. This is a rough guide, but many people buy, you know, The Lonely
Right.
Planet or whatever. And this is full of writing. And if you're a reader and you want every detail, that's the kind of book. But I always start out with the drool books first,
Okay.
because then you can decide where you're going and take them with you.
Well, Terry, thank you very much. I know there's a ton of things to offer at your store, and I've been there, and it's like I'm like a kid in a candy store. So I want to thank you again. And after the break, it's our weekly bio feature. Stay with us.